Hey everybody, Geoff Hyland here with the Hyland Group eXp Realty in Prescott, Arizona. I want to give you your March 2024 market update. So we'll start with just kind of taking a look at some of the numbers like we normally do. Then we're going to get into a little bit more of a global discussion about what it really means if you're a buyer or a seller, what we're seeing in the marketplace right now. So as we look at demand last month in February 2024, pretty much on par with 2023's numbers in February, and certainly an uptick, thank goodness, in terms of the buyer activity from January. So buyer activity did increase quite a bit, up 65% from January's numbers. Again, that's when the buyers, I think, were kind of waiting for the Fed had made the announcement that interest rates were going to be coming down. And unfortunately, what we saw is the interest rates actually start floating back up. So that led to a very drastic decrease in the number of buyers putting homes under contract for the month of January. February, much stronger, 230 inventory levels. February, 687, March, 689. So inventory levels are staying pretty much level right now. If I had to guess, I would tell you that as we continue to progress into the spring here, if history is any guide, we're going to see an increase in inventory, but not a whole lot. We're still dealing with kind of that seller strike right now, where, the majority of homeowners out there have a very attractive interest rate and they're not wanting to give that up. As far as values are concerned, Prescott slight decline, 1.5%, PV up 1%, MLS wide, small decline because of some of the tertiary markets out there, minus 3%. Year over year though, from an MLS perspective, and this is important whether you're a buyer or a seller, it's important to note, we see all this volatility, ups and downs, and everybody's trying to speculate what's going on. Year over year, on an MLS-wide basis, our real estate here has appreciated about 4% year over year. So if you're a buyer sitting there going, when's the time to buy, and when is this, and when is that, you got to keep in mind that the values are continuing to tick up. Days on market also shrinking a little bit, so that's a positive sign as well. Probably corresponds to the uptick in buyer activity. We were looking at, close to 90, 95 days on average. Prescott right now is running about 79 days. MLS wide about 82. And remember, that's the time that it takes to put the home on the market to get a contract. Then you got to add 30 to 45 days on top of that to allow for the closing. Now, when you look at the active inventory that's out there right now, the active inventory, there's of those 689 properties that are on the market, they're average 115 days on the market. And that shows us that they're 23% above market. I guess shouldn't say that shows us, but they are priced at an average of $356 a square foot, which is 23% above the average home in our MLS that's selling. That incorporates all municipalities. Of that active inventory, about 360 homes in Prescott, 177 or so in PV, 52 in Chino Valley. So what does all this mean? I mean, what are we looking at? Well, we've got a 4-month supply of inventory. I read an article by Business Insider published early March, and what that article pointed out is, hey, if you're a buyer trying to figure out when you're going to buy a property, they're kind of cautioning you by saying, we've been referring to it here as the seller strike. They call it the lock-in, and that describes all those sellers across the nation that have a very, very attractive interest rate that they're not wanting to sell. Okay, so they're forecasting that inventory levels are going to remain very low for the foreseeable future. So if you're a buyer sitting there going, I'm going to wait for higher levels of inventory and lower interest rates, keep in mind they're predicting, Capital Economics in that same article is predicting that that values will be appreciating about 5% this year on a national level. So if you sit back and you're waiting for those interest rates to come down a little bit, you might miss the boat. Because what could happen is you come into the market, interest rates finally hit 6.5%. You go, now is the time. And now you're offering 2, 3, 4% above list price again, finding yourself right back in that competitive environment that we saw a couple of years back. So if you're a buyer, the time is now. If you're a seller and you want to know where you stand amongst the active inventory, what your home is worth right now, reach out anytime. 928-237-4425, PrescottAreaProperty.com. We are here to help and look forward to hearing from you.